Hello and welcome to this game design and development video COMP3218 from the University of Southampton. Today we're going to be looking at some more of our students' second set of courseworks. My name is Tom Baum, I am one of the lecturers on the course, and today I am joined by...
Hi, I'm Luca. I'm one of the demonstrators on the course. In this second coursework, we asked the students to create a narrative game where the story and game world interact with each other, and there's a number of branching choices. This is inspired by three of Aesop's fables.
Excellent. Well, without further ado, let's jump into our first game. Alright, and our first game is The Wizard's Apprentice. So a little bit of a simple title screen, but you know, it does what it says on the tin. It's got the title. We've got a nice little sort of chiptune backing track, which I always enjoy. Let's hit start and see what happens. My village is burning down. I should have been able to save everyone by stopping this. Okay, so a little bit of in medias res, starting off in the middle of the action. If only I was stronger.
Story writing technique to be noted for later.
Yeah, exactly. I could have used my powers to stop the slimes from invading. Oh, we've even got a little bit of tutorial, so they've remembered what they learned in coursework 1. Although I can't. Okay, so we do have to read through it all. I can't try it out, but that's okay. Right click to attack.
Ooh.
Interesting control scheme, but alright. 1 and 2 to switch between fire and water. So if I don't know. Ooh. Right click doesn't seem to do anything. Left click definitely seems to do something. Ooh, I want to see if I can try to put out the fire.
Good kiting.
Ooh.
Aha, you've been saved by the wizard.
I assume I was taking damage by the giant slimes. Your wounds are healing nicely.
Yeah.
Been thinking about what you should do now that your village is gone. Due to unfortunate circumstances, I'm in need of a new apprentice. Therefore, from this day forward, you should be named the Wizard's Apprentice. Roll credits. We got a little dialogue option. Cool. Perfect way to express thanks. Go into a dangerous dungeon, slay a goblin, and get the goblin's heart. Goblin hearts are necessary. And are tasty. It's not as powerful as the heart of the fire dragon, but we can't face a fire dragon right now, that would be crazy. Tends to fire magic altogether, because he doesn't want to be anything like the dragon. Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Setting up some framing for the story.
So, it would be nice to know what magic power I'm using at any given moment. Right now, I think I have to actually fire a bolt before I can use it. So, and fire and water seems to have much the same effect on slimes. Bonk, bonk. So it feels like they're setting up a choice there, particularly with what they said about not wanting to become like the fire dragon. But it doesn't seem to look that different at the minute. Okie doke. Nice little environments though. We've got a stranger. The wizard has us doing his grunt work. Don't let him use us and our powers. Okay. Okay, fire does more damage. I'm pretty sure water was killing everything in one hit, so it wasn't really obvious. But
now we have that like explicitly explained by the wizard.
Sure, let's go to the pub. We can have a little chat with people. Okay, a little bit of exposition.
Sounds a bit dodgy.
Nice little, also like a little social hub between missions.
Yeah. Unless I'm not noticing something, you've got 3 of the same unnamed NPC, and then you've got an additional, the wizard with you.
Yeah, so we get a little bit of extra information. Okay, we can just walk off the bottom of the screen.
As with any good pub.
Back to business. Fetch a phoenix feather. Okie doke.
Alright.
Back to the dungeon. The strange man is back.
Okay.
No, let's stick with the wizard. Everyone in the pub said they were a good wizard, so oh, no, got fire selected again. Ooh. Yeah, I'm really not noticing the difference between fire and ice at the minute. Maybe we'll get some stronger enemies later. Oh, there we go.
That one seemed to take a couple shots.
Yeah, but
Even still.
even so, yeah. Okie doke. No more dungeons today. Lucky horseshoe. Alright, let's go do some more exploring. Ba, 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 ba.
He's a good
Okay.
guy.
Everyone seems to like the wizard apart from that weird person in a purple hat, so clearly they are.
Okay.
Alright, that was easy.
Horseshoe.
Purple Hat Man's back again.
The path of temptation.
We're gonna do a wizard run and then we'll do a Purple Hat Man run.
Yeah, I think
Got
that's
a little cutscene here.
wise. Oh,
Dun dun dun.
collapsed of exhaustion or something.
Oh no. Okay, maybe we're getting the sense that wizard not actually all they're cracked up to be.
He's a little forceful.
I mean, yeah. Maybe that's what's the word? I'm trying to read and talk at the same time, and that never goes well. Go straight to the main threat by the barn. Fight the slimes. Oh, no, and it's swapped me back over to fire magic again. It seems to do that every time we start. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, this one definitely seems immune to. Okay, not immune, just taking on. It would be nice if we could see the enemy's health bars, because I wasn't getting a sense that I was doing any damage there. Like a little bit of extra feedback, like maybe them, flashing red or having a health bar or something would be quite useful.
Yeah, experiencing a little knockback.
Okay, we saved the barn. We're now powerful enough to take on a dragon. I don't get the sense that we have progressed. Like, I don't feel like we've gotten stronger, but we have proved that we can defeat some slimes and a goblin. You come here with the wizard. Oh no. He used to be the wizard's apprentice.
Oh. Okay. Puny human.
Alright, so we've got some background music. We don't have any music on, dealing damage or taking damage or anything like that, which is a little bit of a shame. You achieved the Master Wizard ending. The wizard was impressed with your power after you defeated the dragon and promoted you to Master Wizard with a nice pay raise. See, this wizard's not such a bad guy. I don't know what Purple Hat Man's complaining about. Sure, he left you for dead, but we got a pay raise. Oh, okay, and it keeps track of our endings as well. Nice. Alright, so now that we've gone through it once, let's go through it again, but this time we'll start having a chat about the marks criteria, and we will maybe make some different choices.
So, thinking about the presentation, the graphics, audio, and information design, what are we thinking there?
Well, presentation-wise, I think it's quite nice. Like, the graphics certainly all fit together quite well. Information design is maybe a little bit lacking. Like I mentioned, the enemies' health, or even if we're dealing damage, could be signposted a little bit better. Whether we're using fire or ice, given that that seems to be quite an important choice, that would be quite nice as well. So maybe, like an icon in the bottom of the screen that goes from fire to water drop or something, or next to our health bar, so all of the information's collected together. Audio-wise, we've got a few different background music tracks that are, again, quite fitting with the sort of pixely graphics, and that's all really nice. Be nice if there were some sound effects as well, but I think what they've got is pretty good.
Yeah. So, just to give you a couple of different options within the mark scheme here, satisfactory would be workable, effective, but some inconsistencies. And then good would be professional, complete, and effective.
And I think we might be at the good. I think maybe with some of the information design taken into consideration as well, maybe between a satisfactory and a good. Like there's a few bits missing that I think would bring it up to there. But overall, like the bits they've got actually absolutely all do work together quite nicely. So I think, yeah, between the two seems pretty good. Or pretty fair, I should say. Cool.
And
what
then
are your
going
thoughts?
on to the...
Yeah.
Well, I think... so, for some context, I can't hear the audio, so that's based off Tom's reading of the situation. But I think the graphics are well used. These look like they might be from a couple of different sprite packs, but at the same time, they're well chosen as to not clash with each other. Yeah, I think with the information design, it's got the things that it needs in there, but as you said, there would be a couple of bells and whistles missing, like some feedback on the enemy getting hit.
I think I may have just found a bit of a bug, unfortunately.
Aha.
I think I accidentally went into the door while I was still in a dialogue, so now I am stuck. So I'll quickly close that, and we'll just load it again. So yeah, moving on to meaningful play, mechanics, controls, and bugs. It's not too bad of a bug. It should be fine.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at what mechanics have we got. We've got...
So you've got moving and shooting, as well as swapping between the two, which, as we discussed, didn't make the hugest difference with the damage amount. Oh, we're seeing the alternate timeline here. We've got a couple of different, enemy types, including some that shoot at you and some that sort of, move around either directly towards you or in, a set path.
Yeah, they're not hugely,
complex.
Complex, different between each other. But they're alright. Like you say, they've got a couple of different behaviours, shooting or running towards you and whatnot.
How are the controls?
Controls are absolutely fine, yeah. I mean, it's WASD and click to shoot. It's exactly what you'd expect, and it all works quite smoothly together. Gameplay-wise, it does feel a little bit simple, right? I know we only asked for a small prototype or a small slice of what would be a finished game, but the actual gameplay sections are pretty limited. Which isn't the end of the world. It means they've had a little bit more space to flesh out some of the things like the dialogue with the NPCs, but it is a little on the simpler side.
Something like a couple different enemy varieties, or some more differences between the fire and the water shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
or even just
an additional
a few
element.
more rooms.
Yeah.
But you're right, they do have the different elements, but there isn't a lot to differentiate between them. One does a bit more damage than the other, but even then it's not very noticeable. Again, maybe there's some story implications of if we use fire, eventually we turn evil, but we haven't seen anything like that so far.
So, would you say challenging, simple game with few mechanics, awkward controls may have serious bugs, or playable, simpler game with fewer mechanics, usable controls, may have some minor bugs? Or beyond that would be engaging, reasonably complex game with multiple mechanics, smooth controls, may still have very minor bugs?
I think we're pretty much smack bang on the playable here. It is a simpler game with fewer mechanics, but the controls are usable, and yeah, there's a, well, I guess a serious bug in that it caused us to restart the game, but it's not common and not frequent enough for us to consider it serious.
Something of an edge case bug.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, nice. So, thinking about the story itself now, we're looking for different examples of interaction between the game world to the story to the game world, and then in a minute we'll talk about the richness of choices available.
So this will be something. So as they hand in the game, they also hand in some notes telling us about some of these key facets. So even if we can't see every possible story branch, we'll have an idea of what they meant. So if we sort of look at it with what we've seen, game world to story, how does stuff we've done in the game affect the story? So presumably that'll be whether we use more fire or more ice. Now we haven't seen a particular difference yet. So we'll play a little bit longer and maybe come back to that. What about story to gameplay?
Well, we've seen a couple of different dialogue options pop up where we can choose to go with the stranger or go with the wizard. So that has changed the way that the enemies that you fight happen. So I believe that we only fought the dragon there as a result of our choices to do so.
Yep, and likewise, just now we went through the shortcut to see to the goblin instead of fighting the enemies first. So instead of fighting enemies, we had a bit of a maze and then the goblin. It wasn't a hugely impactful difference, partly because of what we said. The actual gameplay bit is already a little bit simple, but it's definitely a bit of an impact. Okay. So there, for example, we took a different path, but I think we got the same cutscene, and it feels like we're in the same place. Okie doke, off we go.
Ooh. If I have a little look at the document as well.
Yeah, you do that while I set some fires.
So, at the start, village is destroyed and the wizard takes you in. You get sent on the first tutorial mission. You run into a mysterious stranger on your way back and bring back the item to the wizard. And then the first choice is, do you go to the pub together? If you select no, your wizard friendship decreases. If you select yes, you get the option to talk to the villagers about their opinions of the wizard and the mysterious man, where the wizard friendship increases. You wake up and go on another mission from the wizard. On the way there, mysterious guy points out a new path to go through the dungeon. You can have a choice there as to accept or reject the stranger's path. If you if you say no, then more enemies but a straightforward path. If you say yes, maze to get through but fewer enemies. And then you go to another mission. Mystery Stranger suggests taking a shortcut through the cave because it's raining. You can choose to take the shortcut or not. You slip in the forest or somewhere where running home from the village. Bang your head on a rock or tree or ground so they're confused, can't get bearings and can't focus. Whereas if you choose to take the shortcut, cave is dark, sight is impaired when coming out because of straining eyes in the darkness for too long. Overhears a conversation, yeah. So, the beginning, there's a bunch of choices that lead back into the same path.
I was going to say, on the one hand, split joins are very good, they help manage agency. On the other, that was a lot of words to say, whichever path you take, you get the same cutscene. You either slip in the forest or you slip in the cave. But okay, yeah, so I don't think we need to read through the entire thing live on air. But for example, right now it looks like this goblin seems pretty immortal, and I don't know if that's a bug or if that's because I trusted the strange man. So, do they mention anything about that?
So yes, you get the choice to go straight to the boss or not, and then later you get the choice to join forces with the stranger or on the alternate path, whether you want to fight or free the dragon. So we got down to the path where we fought the dragon and got promoted to the Master Wizard. There's an alternate ending there. Wizard gives you the money to start a new life if you didn't burn down the barn. But then if you join forces with the stranger, you can fight Dodgy Guy and protect the wizard. Wizard fires you but gives you the money to start a new life.
Okay,
Or you can defeat the wizard.
Sorry, just to jump in, I'm looking at the bit that we're on right now, and it says if we go straight to the boss, we should be able to defeat him, but it does result in the barn being burnt down. But it looks like we do have a pretty major bug after all, because this guy is not dying.
Is he only not dying to the fire shot, or is he? Yeah, both. Yeah.
So, again, we might have to reset here. So okay, they've got some intention of this happening. What do they say about story 2 get impact? Let's have a quick look at what they say about game 2 story rather. But how does the game world affect the narrative? Through the use of if the player uses more fire magic, the wizard will comment on their dislike of the dragon and how you shouldn't use it. In the final battle, whether you choose fire or water impacts how difficult the dragon fight is. How, though? If you die too many times over the course of the game, the wizard will say you're too weak and won't let you to take on the dragon. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Normally I don't really count, just the bad ending or a game over as branching the story, because if you're tying it to the player's reactions or beating a challenge the first try, that's not great design. But it does show that they have thought about how I think we're gonna have to restart this. But they are tracking things that are happening, and it's not that. It's all my notes from Blueprints.
Nice. Great game. Yeah, so after you choose to go straight to the boss or not is the point at which you can get that sort of game over check. It's not any point during the game. Looking at the joining forces with the stranger, there's an end box on the diagram that they've given here that seems slightly unfinished, unfortunately. It just reads a key smash.
Oh dear.
But there is an ending where the dragon transports you to a new place to start your life over, and an ending where if you've used more water magic, the fight is impossible to win.
Interesting.
So, if you choose the path of the stranger in narrative choices, but mechanically choose to use the wizard powers of water, then joining forces with the stranger can lead you to simply not being able to kill the wizard, because you're, I guess, too much down his path.
Interesting. Okay, so we'll talk about this a bit more when we go to talk about agency and talk about how interesting these choices are and how much we feel that we are making choices.
Yeah.
But first, let's finish off talking about the story engine. So where are we? Okay, so I think we can talk about game world to story now and vice versa. So game world to story, yes, there is definitely some impact in that it tracks your deaths and the kind of magic you use, and then that has an impact on some of the endings. That does sound pretty good. It's, again, maybe undermined a little bit by the simplicity of the game. It doesn't really matter that much whether you're using fire or water. So if there were enemies that could only be defeated by certain element types, or even if just the enemies had a lot more health and therefore fire was a lot more effective versus water. Like water in that first encounter, instead you can attack the slimes with fire, or you can put out the village that's on fire with the water. That feels like a more distinct choice rather than just, well, I'm going to kill them all and it's going to be quite easy. So it's just a case of, are the particles red or blue? But that said, I feel like this hits some examples of where the game world impacts the story. That kind of works.
Good satisfactory amount of interaction.
Yeah.
And then
maybe even between a satisfactory and a good, because a good would be a number of examples where it impacts it in important ways. And I do think so. Game to story is often one of the ones that people find the hardest to do. So They may not have done it excellently, but I do think that the fact that they are tracking the way that you play the gameplay section and then have that reflected in, you know, dialogue and endings and things, actually probably puts them between the two.
Okay. That sounds fair.
Story to game. This one I feel is more clearly a satisfactory.
Where we've got some examples of where the story impacts the game world.
In fact, this one might be closer to a pass, but I think satisfactory is probably okay, again, bearing in mind the scope of a prototype. But for example, the one we just had, where it's like, do you take the shortcut or not? It's do you fight 3 easy enemies, or do you go through a very simple maze? It doesn't have a huge impact on the game world in any way. There's nothing really that, although the wizard is saying things like, you've grown in power, there's nothing that really makes our attacks feel more powerful. Like, you know, if we're doing the Path of the Stranger, it's not like we get a giant cool fireball, or if we're doing the Path of the Wizard, we get a cool water tornado or something like that sort of develops things as we go. But there are definitely some key choices where we get a pop-up saying, do you go left or right? One of them has a pretty clear impact early on, which is the shortcut. The other one is basically, do you get a cutscene in a cave or a jungle, which doesn't hugely have gameplay impact. But from the sounds of it and from their story structure, you know, it sort of determines, do you have a boss fight with a dragon at the end? Do you have to fight the wizard? Does the stranger help you out? And those kinds of things. That's a bit more impactful, which is why I think that kind of brings it back up to the satisfactory.
Okay. And then the richness of choices.
Yeah, how much agency does the player have when they're making all of these choices? Are they interesting, or are they just straight up calculations? Now,
so the choice between like the water and fire is just a damage number from a gameplay perspective. But a lot of the choices where you've got like a narrative like set of text boxes to choose from, it's not like I think this is going to produce the best gameplay benefits for me. It's, well, how do I want to have this story unfold?
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. The actual gameplay choice of fire or water isn't that interesting, just because the enemies all react to them pretty much the same. The story choices of, do I trust Wizard or do I trust the former Apprentice, are actually kind of nice, and they're especially nice because it's not just a case of dialogue, make a choice. There's moments where you can walk around the bar and talk to other people and get, you know, what's your vibe about the wizard or this weird stranger? And that helps you build up a coherent picture of, who should I be throwing my lot in with? So that they've actually done quite nicely. So again, it feels kind of like a pretty solid satisfactory. Like there's a number of interesting choices. They don't necessarily manage the player's agency through its impact on gameplay or anything like that. But otherwise, you know what?
There's like 4, maybe 5 endings, so...
Yeah, I was going to say, there is a... So actually, if we skip ahead a little bit and look at excellent, we'd be asking for a network of interesting choices, and they are kind of on that because of the fact that they are tracking a couple of key things. So your friendship with the wizard, you know, how nice you are to him, the type of magic you're using, those kinds of things all pull together. So I might even go ahead and say, if we split the difference, it might come out as a good.
Yeah. Number of interesting choices and attempts to manage player agency.
Okie doke. So that brings us on to the design elements, and we start off with pacing.
I think this is a relatively appropriately paced game. You've got a good amount in the beginning where the branching element of the story just kind of loops back into itself to allow you to accrue some time where you've used the spells. because otherwise you'd go in and you would have shot say like a dozen water shots and like 3 or 4 fire shots, and you wouldn't really know how many of each you've done. So you get a little while to build that up, and then sort of at the point of do you go straight to the boss or not, you get a little bit more of that story ramping up, so you can see the increasing tension. That's
like, it would be nice here if in this final fight we could say, no, I'm going to shoot the wizard instead. Like, a lot of the choices, going back to agency, are locked into dialogue. You either sort of click A or click B. There's not really a choice for it to sort of appear within gameplay. So, you know, if instead they both had their bit of dialogue, and then you don't sort of say side with Apprentice or side with Wizard, but it's a case of who do you throw a fireball at that decides. That would make it more interesting, I think. But as far as pacing goes, yeah, you're very right. We start off with that in medias res. You know, you wake up, your village is on fire, there's slimes everywhere, sudden dramatic tension, and then we sort of slow down a little bit. We have some conversation with the wizard, and then they do this nice thing where they do bit of gameplay, bit of wandering around, talking to NPCs and things like that, back into the dungeon. It would maybe be nice if they weren't so separated, so it's not just this is the gameplay bit, this is the story bit, this is the gameplay bit, this is the story bit. But as far as pacing goes, they do quite well with, escalating between, yes, go get a goblin, and then go get a phoenix, and then, oh no, the village is under attack, and then there's a fight with a dragon at the end. So as far as pacing goes, we've got ascendant pacing, we've got a clear final peak. I would even go so far as saying we've got ascendant pacing with more than one peak.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as pacing goes, they're kind of on their way to Prizeworthy, really, now that I think about it. I don't think they quite hit the full Prizeworthy, but I think maybe between the two, because they do have this ebb and flow, they've got escalating events, and who doesn't love I think the thing that maybe knocks it down is narratively they've got it quite good. But again, it's the mechanics in the gameplay that kind of hinder it a little bit, that I think kind of keep it at the excellent, because, as far as climactic final boss fights go, I was just standing there having this conversation during it, and not a lot happened. So tying in some of their mechanics to their narrative, I think, would help strengthen it a little bit more. But otherwise, narratively speaking, I think it hits the excellent there.
Now we're getting the narrative from the dragon of our choice of freeing them or not, because we've used the fire magic. Nice.
Nice. Okay, so we've got dialogue. We have some simple cutscenes. What other storytelling? I guess we've got the use of in medias res as well. Absolutely. Which squarely puts them at a good. Do you think the mechanics really support the theme? I can kind of see where they're going for with the use of choice of power
support. Here, so I'll let you go.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was saying that there's the core thing of giving the player the choice through all of the combat as to whether they want to side with the wizard or the stranger, kind of take the easier path or the more hard-fought path, which I think that does resonate with the story a little bit.
It does. I think I've said this for pretty much every criteria now. I think it's the slight simplicity of the mechanics that don't quite let it get to that point. Like they definitely have used a lot of game writing techniques, and they've used them quite successfully. But the choice they have set up of, are you going to use this kind of magic or this kind of magic, it needs to feel a lot more impactful for it to really underlie the theme. As I sort of said before, at the minute it's just a case of, are the particle effects red or blue? It doesn't really feel like I'm making that much of a choice within that. So it's not a case of, I'm gonna hinder myself, I'm going to try and take the light side of the force, if you like. I'm not going to give into anger and hate, because that way brings destruction. It's like, no, they both feel quite similar, so I don't think it quite hits excellent, unfortunately.
But I think good is an appropriate description, because they have successfully used the game writing techniques, and they've used more than one.
Okay, so if we go to
Their feedback.
Feedback, yeah. Lastly but not leastly. So during the development process, we ask our students to get some feedback from us and then interpret it and act on it. So, blah, 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 blah. We were told to ensure that the game world impacted the narrative. Yep. Implement 2 types of magic instead of just 1 and track their use across the game. Interesting. So, something that we've picked up on, like, yeah, that is... In fact, I think we said when we were talking about the story engine, that's the bit that people often find trickiest to do. So it's kind of nice that they've done that. I think they maybe could have done more with it though. We were also advised to make sure there was enough gameplay and it wasn't just dialogue. That bit, we added an extra mission and an extra dungeon to make it a proper game and not just a story. Okay. Maybe that's why it feels a little bit simple, because it was somewhat hurriedly added at the end.
Narrative first, and then the mechanics tacked on afterwards. Perhaps.
Yeah. So I think them adding it has definitely helped. I think if they didn't have even that amount of gameplay, it would have been a much weaker game from the point of view of the coursework criteria. But I think they maybe needed to develop that a little bit further. So let's take a quick look.
So would we say that the feedback was addressed and the changes have been somewhat successful? That they've been fully successful? Or that they've been successful and that the feedback has been interpreted?
So I don't think it's been interpreted, because it's basically been a case of, we've said do X and they've said, well, we did X. Usually, to hit that at excellent, it's really a case of they need to have
added some creative flair to how they solved the problem that we outlined.
Yeah, exactly. Addressing the problem rather than the symptoms, if that makes sense. As it is, and it feels like we've already kind of spoken on the things they've highlighted. Like what they've added has been fine, but it doesn't always go quite far enough. So it feels like again, a solid satisfactory. They have addressed the feedback, and the changes have been somewhat successful. Okie doke. And with that brings us to the end of this game. So let's move on to our next one. Alright, and our next game is Frog Quest. So again, lovely pixely title screen, jaunty graphics.
Couple of frogs.
I guess is it a title screen if it doesn't have the title on? No matter. Play game, that's the only important button. Good morning. It seems there are people gathering in. It seems that there are frogs everywhere.
Frogs can be people.
Frogs can be people too. What do you think this symbol is?
A reset of some description?
Yeah, maybe it'll be explained later. Good morning there, frogs. Okay, I am clicking and nothing is happening.
Space? Enter? Something like that?
Oh, maybe the button. Yes, okay, the button is proceed.
Okay.
That's not what I would have guessed it was, but we figured it out. Oh no, that's just starting again. Okay, time to just start.
Are there any other clickable things?
Ooh. Oh, I am the frog.
Ah.
I am this little green frog here. Can I... Okay, talk to other frogs by walking into them. Find out what's up. Talk with walk. Close text boxes with R. Frogs want a king.
We want a king. We want a king.
Can you guess what fable this is based off of? Okay. Alright, so after a little bit of confusion with what's going on, I think we've gotten the gist of it. Let's go find Jupiter and ask for a... Oh wait, this lily pad must be placed at the pedestal by the end of each level. Oh no, I have more questions now. What is the pedestal?
So I presume the thing in the top left over the box.
Oh, we can move the box. That looks a heavy box for a small frog. Good luck out there, dude. Glad I wasn't chosen. Okay. Alright, so it's a puzzle game. Boop.
Do you like a good narrative puzzle game? I think it suits the genre quite well.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of them, or at least for this coursework, and that's because it can be sometimes hard to, I mean, A, designing puzzles is hard, and B, weaving in a narrative can be a little bit tricky. Okay,
True.
now this is why we've got a reset button, isn't it? Come here, I have something for you. Dun, dun, dun. Intrigue.
Just a nice little bit of flair to notice. It seems that they've got like a manually crafted text scrolling type thing going on there, just so that you can get a little bit more of a semblance that the frogs are speaking to you in real time, rather than it just being in the whole text box at once. It's also nice that we get to see underneath it, because otherwise that could detract from some of the puzzling elements.
It's alright. I would maybe like it if it scrolled a little bit faster, or I had a way of skipping it. Actually, that's not entirely true. I would like to skip it if there was nothing else I could be doing in the meantime. But as I'm looking at puzzles and solving puzzles, it can take as long as it wants. Oh no, I've already messed up. Where is this going to have to go? I feel like this is set up in a way that definitely has to go there.
Yeah.
And let's just shove these out of the way. I feel like I've biffed it already.
Okay, so you're going to need to get the lily pad to that like space one block above the bottom and push it along, but then you're going to need to push it up. And if you push it up here, then it's going to straight away get stuck.
It is.
So you might need to push the box, the too wide box down one as your first move.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, oh okay.
But the problem is, to not get it stuck on this left wall, I need it to be here. So I need a space. This is the other reason you don't see a lot of these puzzle games, because... Hang on. Alright, hang on, I think I might have got it. Because otherwise, people end up just with me and or Dave going, how does this puzzle work? The whole thing. Oh, no.
I'll tell you what, it's a good puzzle.
I think this is already a bad move. Wait, no, this is fine. This is a good move.
Yeah, that's a good move.
I can, just for the sake of it, let's chuck these boxes away before I trap myself again. Oh, I can push more than one box at once. Didn't know that.
Okay, that's good to know.
There we go.
Success.
So again, we got some nice background music. We don't have any sound effects, which is a little bit of a shame. But equally, maybe it would get a bit annoying with the amount of boxes and lily pads we have to push. Hey!
Ooh, we've got pistons.
Oh, and a small request. What is your small request, Blue Frog? Ooh.
That's cool to know that us as a frog, we are a pushable object.
Sure. We can also push boxes. Ooh. Hello, Blue Frog. My family is starving. You wrote down a prayer for Jupiter. Okay, so nice little extra bonus objective.
Yeah.
Oh no, and we actually have to bring the... Okay. Ooh. Okay, I'm not quite sure of the mechanics of this. Does this have to go on... Presumably this has to go on the whatchamacallit before... Ooh, they've also stopped moving. Oh,
Yeah, I was wondering, is that something that we've done? Or has that just happened?
Suddenly, the puzzle has become easier. Wait, no. Has it? Yes. I'm not... You know what? I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Wait.
Hmm.
Wait,
How are you
hang on.
gonna get round?
Oh no. I feel like they probably are supposed to... Okay. There we go.
Right, so they're like
Okay, it's because I made a
activated
gap.
by having a block in between.
Okay.
That is an interesting puzzle, because you can remove elements from it, but then it stops working all in one chain. This seems like doable still, though.
Yeah.
It's like a large revolving door.
That's my plan, yeah. I'm just hoping that it's in the right place. Or rather, I'm in the right place when it is. I think I will be. I quite like that puzzle. That was really good.
Yeah.
Is this Jupiter? The village want a king, and they can't sustain themselves. We've got 2 plinths.
Hmm.
Place the offering in the podium for your request. A ruler or plentiful harvests.
Okay. So here we have our first major choice.
Okay, so this... I mean, this really could just be a dialogue box. What I hope they're doing here is setting up that puzzles are going to have multiple plinths in the future. But I also like that it... despite the fact that it could be a dialogue box, I like that it's not. I like that they're like, nope, we're going to stick with our game mechanics and we're going to use those to let the player make decisions.
Yeah. Because we get the same thing in this frog village. We don't just, click on them or anything. We go up and it naturally finds out that we're close to that frog, so it plays the dialogue. It's a nice touch. Come here.
Ungrateful frogs.
We can see that the tables around the village have now been adorned with more fruit, though, which is cool.
Yeah,
It's a little bit of visual feedback.
Kind of gameplay affecting the story, like in so much as we've got a little bit of environmental storytelling. The world is changing based on the actions we took in the game. That's kind of nice. Food offering. Okay, now we've got food. We can offer some food to Jupiter. Take the food to Jupiter. Oh no! Have we now got to get a 2-tile wide block?
Ah.
Or is it just a food? I've never been hungry, so we clearly don't have a food shortage. That, I don't know why, that tickles me.
It's a good line.
Alright, let's go take some. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it's a 2x1.
Alright. Cool. Escalating mechanical stakes. Ooh.
Ooh.
Just for the sake of argument, what's going to happen when I do this? Oh, I can't do that. Okay, so they just block it. They don't set it on fire. I have noticed, however, this is a 1.
Are you able to push the campfire?
This is a 1 white. I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Already biffed it. No.
Okay.
Can't push it through there.
I assume we're gonna have to burn those trees down one way or another.
I think you might be right.
Maybe the logs can be
maybe
pushed to the fires?
Yeah.
There it is.
Fire. Ooh, so no tutorial, but did that fire just get bigger? Or I can't go back this way. Like, what if I go really quickly? No. Oh, and now
Not
it's
allowed.
burned out.
It seems
Oh.
that there's a limited amount of time,
Oh.
so you've got to
God, they're timing me.
move. Yeah, there's the stump above you. I think that can be turned into another fire as well. Ah, well, this works.
I do like a puzzle that you can solve with arson. Still not big enough to get through here, though, right?
No, we're
Oh,
gonna
no.
have to
We're gonna have to
push
go.
it up.
Oh no. So I'm gonna have to push it over there, and then. Okay, this is kind of interesting, right? We've got a new mechanic being introduced. It has definitely made things a lot more challenging. It means I'm gonna struggle to actually talk about stuff and play it at the same time, but there we go. All right, nice. I said it before. Puzzle design is difficult, and they've done a good job with this one. Like, puzzles, you always want like an aha moment where you think you understand how something works, and the mechanics mean it doesn't work quite how you expected. And then as soon as you learn the twist and how it works, you feel real clever. Right now, I feel real clever.
That's what we're looking for.
Not gonna last, I think, but
So
it's
while
you.
we're having the game unfold, I think we've got a good idea of what the presentation looks like. So shall we start having a think about that in terms of the mark scheme?
Yes, let's do that.
So, I think this is a very cute art style. It is quite simplistic, but it communicates what it needs to, I think.
Sorry, I'm distracted by puzzle. Yes,
That's okay.
some bits of the information design or tutorializing at the start were not clear. Like, it wasn't clear which frog we were, but as soon as we figured out that it was WASD to move, okay, now we are the green frog and there's a bunch of other frogs. Sure, fine.
Yeah.
Graphics wise, some of the textures are a little bit stretched, but it's not really the end of the world. Otherwise, it's relatively clear what everything is.
You mentioned that there is music, but not much in the way of audio, like sound effects.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Sorry. So he's given us a watering can, and we can steal this coin from him. Good if I hadn't pushed it into a corner. Yeah. So we've got some nice background music. It's fine. It's quite jaunty. It's good puzzle music, but it's not. We've not got any sound effects, which is a little bit of a shame, but maybe that's a design choice, and I can maybe see why they've done that. I think it would be nice to add a little bit more, though. It feels kind of like it hits a satisfactory. Like the graphics wise, they're pretty much all coherent, consistent, all of that good stuff. Information design wise, there's a few things that are maybe left unsaid, like some of the initial controls and things like that, but also things like, so for example, if we give this frog the fruit, we get a watering can, but he's also got this coin on the table, so we can steal that. I don't know what the effects of that are going to be. Maybe we'll talk about that a bit more when we get to agency, but I'm not sure what it's meant to represent. Is it food? Is it money? Is it something else? And that's going to sort of impact how much I can make in the way of choices. I'm going to try and be good frog though. And yeah, the sound that they've got is nice, but maybe they could have added a little bit more. So overall,
satisfactory.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Mechanics wise, they got a lot of different mechanics. So they've got obviously the standard block pushing puzzle stuff. It's nice that they have multiple things that you can try and push to get to different endings, and equally you've got different shapes and sizes of stuff to move about.
As well as the burning interaction between the logs and the trees and stuff like that.
And yeah, the pushing boxes, or I don't know what I'd call them. Levers, pistons, that's the word. Oh no, I think I gave him the food too soon. Can I go around here and push it into the... No. Tiny bug there. Oh no, now he's complaining. Oh no, now he's complaining that I've taken his thing, and I haven't. I haven't taken your thing, little frog. I'm sorry.
That's a shame. Well, if he thinks that you've stolen it, maybe you might as well. Oh, perhaps not.
Hang on, I'll speak to him and see what he says. There we go.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, otherwise, controls are fine. I mean, it's WSD again. It's pretty standard. There's not really any other controls that we've got. It seems to handle relatively smoothly. The little pistons are, yeah, fine. It's pretty obvious where they're going to push you. They've got a number of different mechanics. Still a few minor bugs.
It's definitely got the satisfactory, but has it got the good?
I would say it's definitely got a good. Depending on how many of these puzzles I can get through, we may even bump them up a little bit more depending on how many other mechanics they've got. But I think what they've got right now works together quite nicely. Yeah, I think it hits a good. But I think, yeah, they.
Maybe it's just whether we choose to push the food to the plinth or the coin.
No,
whether
he
gets it or not.
He gave us a watering can, didn't he? The first time.
Oh right, yes.
Which is why I'm thinking probably a good, because this seems to be a bit of a bug, and I don't want to have to go through all of the. I want to give the food to the frog, but I also don't want to go through all the levels again. Ooh. Ah well, we might just have to try and solve the puzzle as is. Okay, so that's going to take us on to Story Engine, which again, I don't know if we'll be able to get through right now until I've gone through a bit more puzzle.
Let me open up the document. Okay, so we've got the introduction, level 1, 2, and 3. So a little bit of a divergence, then a convergence at the beginning, whether you want to volunteer or have the chosen one. And then you collect the offering. Form action. Okay, then your first major choice here is the offering is made by getting it to the end of the level. You can either ask Jupiter for riches or ask Jupiter for food. And then ask for a king, get given log. So you get 3 different choices there that take you on a branch. You and the other frogs gain riches where there's consequences. The frogs are displeased with the log as king, or the village dislikes you for not asking for a king despite being better off. So we're currently on that branch of the story where they're better off with the food, but they're still angry with no king. Angry frog causes puzzle encountered, and then from that puzzle you can steal the food, give the food to the poor frog, or there's a third option that is not labelled that goes puzzle 1.
I assume that's the watering can.
Yes.
Yeah, it definitely seems to have bugged out a little bit, unfortunately.
And we've got the level ahead of us, where once we get to Jupiter, we can ask for power or ask for a king. And then when we ask for a king, you can either say to help the people who are struggling, or because the frogs want a ruler, and that gives us another branch in the path. If you ask Jupiter for power, the Jupiter gives you fire, where you want more. There's a living sacrifice, another puzzle, and a final offering. Or on the asking for a king branch, you can get an eel for power. The frogs want a more commanding king, so you get a flashy idol that's offered to you, another puzzle, and then the final choice. Or you get given a spider as the king. The frogs don't like the spider, want a more powerful king, and then the town supplies. Not sure exactly what they mean by that. Maybe they're maybe consumed or something. Then you get the final puzzle and 3 endings there as well. Um, okay.
I'm not sure how to solve this one. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of story there and a lot of story branches. Let me also bring up something
Yeah.
else so we can have a quick
There's a
scoot
couple of
through.
nodes where once the branching has happened, all of the nodes converge again and then branch out for a second time. So you've got the level 1 is mostly just an introduction, and then both level 2 and level 3 have a full convergence and divergence within them.
Okie doke. Wow, yeah. Looking at the scale of the story graph they've got, I don't know if we're going to get through the whole thing, let alone the whole thing twice, but we will do our best. How do you think I solve this one?
Let me have a look.
Because the problem is pushing this one across here.
Immediately gets it in the water. Okay.
It doesn't seem to be that I can, push this box down and make a little raft or anything like that. Oh, maybe can I burn down the pistons?
That's an interesting possibility. You're gonna have to be quite quick.
Yeah. I think also this might be in the way a bit now, so let's just hunt it this way.
Oh, so it's the bridge, not the pistons.
That doesn't seem to have helped things.
Hmm.
You think maybe if I put that on the bridge and then burn the bridge down, it will...
There'll be nowhere for the box to be pushed.
Float downstream, maybe?
That's also an option, yeah.
Probably. I don't know how we're going to get over there. Oh, no. Okay.
It seems to give you the option to just push it round now.
I was just saying, yeah, now there's nowhere for it to be pushed, so I can just push it this way. You were bang on the money. Shunt these out of the way. So yeah, information design wise, not always obvious what the intended solution is supposed to be, but definitely seems to work for a little.
Oh, are you misaligned from the grid?
Feels like my fruit's misaligned from the grid a bit, doesn't it? Alright. A few more bugs, unfortunately. Let's see. Oh, maybe because it got pushed in a weird way here. But I think we know the solution to this now. I am well aware that now I'm just too invested in playing the puzzle game and not super invested in marking it. So I should probably focus on that a little bit more.
Shall we think about some examples where the game world affects the story or vice versa?
Yeah, let's do that. So game world affecting the story. That one seems to be the clearest. Because depending on the outcome of the way we choose to solve the puzzle, there we go. That looks more aligned, doesn't it?
Yeah. The way we choose to solve the puzzle affects the outcome.
Okay, there we go.
And
which affects...
even if we're not solving a puzzle, if we've got our two plinths, we can make a choice that way, where we talked about how that could have been a dialogue box, but it was a nice touch that it wasn't.
Power of Fire doesn't sound great. Let's see. All right, so we got Log King. Did we get Log King? I thought we got food.
Yeah, you got the food. I think the Log King was the opposite choice in that situation.
Okay. Angry frog causes puzzle. Puzzle encountered. Steal food. Give food to poor frog. I think we went with regular puzzle. Okay. We're actually further through than I thought we were. Do we want fire? Let's go with fire.
Sweet. That we can get to the living sacrifice route via that.
That sounds entertaining. And again, this is highlighting, or I guess you the audience, are not seeing all the different endings, but we have the game notes and we can see what should happen. They're the reason. They are technically right that we are the reason that the forest is burning.
But we've got riches, and we can see that displayed in our little frog home.
Did we ask for riches? We asked for power, and we asked for food, and then we asked for power.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. We're taking a frog in a box. Oh, and it's so much bigger. Oh no.
He's quite companion cube-esque.
This? No, I already don't know how to solve this one.
Can you pass through the bottom of the piston?
Nope.
No.
There's a lot of fire, which I assume is environmental storytelling. We've got this differently coloured fence, which I assume is important.
Huh.
But we don't seem to have any way to set these trees on fire or this fence.
Oh, we've been given the power of fire, right? So can we now produce that ourselves?
Do you have any idea how? I didn't notice a tutorial or a pop-up explaining how to do that if we can, but that's...
I remember we asked for power.
Yeah,
I think we were given the power of fire.
Well, while I'm trying that, I realise we got distracted again. Game to story. So satisfactory would be some examples of where the game world impacts the story. Good would be a number of examples where it impacts it in important ways. Again, it feels like we're pretty easily at a good, because it's the... On the one hand... Well... Again, it feels like
I was thinking of just like number of examples.
I feel like we're at a good, but maybe not necessarily an excellent, and I will explain why. I like that solving the puzzle with a different item gives you a different story outcome, and I like that there is some amount of difference in how you solve that puzzle. So, for example, with the food, you need to solve it with a 2x1 thing. If you're just using the riches or the coin or whatever it was instead, it's a 1x1 thing, and therefore it's easier. It would be nice if the puzzles were designed in such a way where, like, there were multiple... It's not just move the thing to the same exit, but there are sort of multiple paths through it, or multiple ways that you would need to solve it to sort of hit that level, and to do so sort of consistently. Whereas, as it is, I think it pretty easily hits a good, though.
Good stuff.
I think I might be stuck, though.
Have you just tried all the buttons or the keys?
Story affecting gameplay. This is the bit that I think you might be right. Do we have the power of fire now? Let's quickly see what they say. How does the narrative impact the game world? Functionally, there's slightly different puzzles, but the state of the world is... Well, that's... I don't think... Okay, so the fact that everything is on fire now isn't affecting the gameplay, because I can't get to the fire.
No.
It's a nice bit of extra storytelling, but it's not affecting
outside of the play
gameplay.
area.
So that's... I would say that's more an argument of, or more an instance of game impacting story, because we've made some decisions in the game, and the world has changed as a result. If the player chooses good or evil actions, opportunities for helping people will further be encouraged. Again, that feels like story impacting story, or game impacting story. What? The second lot of levels determines which ability the player will receive. Fire to burn down trees, or a hammer to destroy breakable objects. So we should be burning down trees. I just don't know how we do it. Let me just stand here and press all of these
I'm
buttons.
thinking, are the red highlighted fences
hang on.
said breakable objects?
E. Okay, so if we
E.
had the hammer, we'd be going this way. But with the trees, we can go this way.
Yeah, and something you were just mentioning is the option of solving the same puzzle in a multitude of different ways. And here we have one puzzle that we can only solve in one way on this branch of the story. But had we taken the alternate story route, we'd need to be solving it in a different way.
I know why it didn't work before, because I think... Yeah, this is why. So I'm pressing E now to burn down this tree, but because I'm not, quote, facing the tree, because I moved down, not towards the tree, that's why it wasn't working. Okay, so it feels like maybe we should go back and adjust that information design mark, but maybe this is just me
Perhaps
misreading what we've got here. Oh, maybe I should have burned down that bridge as well. Can I burn down bridges? I can. Don't want to burn down that bridge though. I want to burn down this bridge. Alright. So I think we're making progress on this level. There we go. Now I can burn it down. Good. So, yeah, affecting the game world. Okay, I think that is the key example, right? It's not affecting the gameplay in so much as the puzzle is the exact same either time, but it affects, like you say, which route we can take. So either we'd have a hammer to smash this, or we've got a fire to do this. So effectively you're in the same space, but you've got different tools to solve it. Okay, that by itself is definitely a clear story impacting. Ooh, it's definitely story impacting gameplay. I was about to split hairs about, well, if it's the gameplay that's affecting whether we get those decisions, then is it? But no.
Yeah,
it's a story choice we make.
Gameplay makes a story choice, and that story choice affects the gameplay. It's enough of there's a story beat in the middle where I think that's at least satisfactory.
Oh no, I would say that's probably good, because again we've got where are we? Game, story to game, number of examples. Ooh. Number of examples, yeah, maybe between a satisfactory and a good.
Yeah,
because I think it is a good example of I think it would be good if there was a clear difference between the abilities, like one allows you to rotate the cube or something like that, or one
whereas both of them are just destruction of an obstacle.
Remove an obstacle, and it's just there are two kinds of obstacles. So, but okay. Beyond that slight nitpick, I think they've done a good job there. Right, which moves us on to richness of choices. Now this one's interesting because there is part of me that says I'm not really choosing based on what I want to happen in the story so much as I am how bad am I at solving puzzles. But I was very compelled to save the frog. It's just a shame that there was that ooh, we got a little fuse. Oh, I'm gonna have to get him across here before that gets over the
timing element. Ah, I see now. You can't just take a straight shot. I assume if you've been given the smaller item in this case that isn't the 2x2 frog in a box, that you can just push it across in a straight line, whereas here we may have inadvertently taken the more difficult path.
Maybe. Again, puzzle design is hard. I'm enjoying this one. Can I... No. Is that fine? I don't think that's fine. I think I have doomed myself again, because this feels like a too complex a level to just go this way.
Because how are you going to get it back up?
Yeah. Well, we'll start here and we'll see where we go. So what is the next thing that we're looking at? I've already forgotten. Choices, yes.
Yes. So we get well, I would say a binary choice. It's like we get a branching choice of whether we choose for asking for riches or for food, or a king.
Are they interesting choice? So they're interesting from a storytelling perspective. Do we give up the offering that we have been given to take, or entrusted to take to Jupiter, and instead give it to somebody who, or rather, refuse to do that and instead take the prayers of somebody who's asked for our help? And then likewise, we've been entrusted to give an offering to Jupiter, and then somebody says, "Oh, but I'm hungry, I'm starving, I need food." We give it to them instead. That works out quite nicely. That's an interesting choice. From a gameplay perspective, it is. It's not mega clear, what effect it's going to have on the difficulty of the puzzles and things like that. So we're not bearing that in mind as we make the choice. But the consequences of the choice, I would say, are interesting. So, we
get to see how the frog village reacts to things as well.
That as well, actually, yeah. The consequences on the story are, I wouldn't say predictable, but we did burn the forest down and then we came back and everyone was angry at us for everything being on fire. That kind of makes sense. Although, we couldn't have solved any of those puzzles without burning down the forest. This is kind of goes back to what I was saying about different solutions for the puzzle. We couldn't have solved that forest puzzle without burning everything down, so it feels a little bit, not cheap, but a little bit annoying to come back and everyone to say, get them, it's them, they burned the forest down, or I hate them, when we as the player didn't have a choice. So if there was the easy solution is burn down all the trees because they're in your way, and the harder solution or the harder choice is navigating it carefully and making use of rotation and all this other different mechanics to get through without having to do that becomes a super interesting choice. So something like that I think would have earned them up in the excellent range or the good range. As it is, it feels maybe between a satisfactory and a good. So a good, they would need ways of managing the player agency, and I think the fact that once you are locked into that branch of the story, your agency becomes a little bit limited. You can't help but burn the thing down, even if your choice was unrelated to that. Your choice was feed a starving frog. Or actually no, is that what you got given a watering can, right? So if we would have taken that watering can, would that have allowed us to put the fires out and solve the puzzle in that way? So annoyingly, we couldn't find that out because it slightly bugged out on us, which is a little bit of a shame. But if we assume that's the case, and that's a bit of an assumption, then it's still somewhat detached from the choice. The choice to give the food to the frog, we have no idea that we're locking ourselves into burning down the forest if we don't do that. If we say, sorry, I'm on an important mission, the fact that we're locked into that, again, I think still has some issues with agency. So I think maybe between a satisfactory and a good. I do like the way they've set it up, but yeah.
And were we going to come back to the information design element now that we've seen a couple more levels and unfortunately a couple more bugs?
Do you know what? I would say information. What did we say for information?
We gave them a satisfactory.
I think a satisfactory is a fair. What do we give them for meaningful play? Because I feel like we've seen actually quite a few extra mechanics.
We gave them a good for meaningful play.
I would be inclined to bump that up to a good and an excellent. The only reason I'm not saying an excellent is because the controls were not necessarily intuitive, because it took us a little way to figure out, oh, what if I burn it down from this direction? No, that's a silly idea.
So we're going from a satisfactory in information design to a good.
No, I think information design stays where it is.
Okay, cool.
Meaningful play, because we've seen some additional mechanics and they've combined them in interesting ways, I think between a good and an excellent. I would say an excellent, but because we got stumped for a little bit figuring out what the controls were for setting fire to things and why it wasn't working as we expect. I think that maybe keeps it from there.
That's now been adjusted.
I realise I've gotten distracted with solving puzzles again. We should continue. Design elements, techniques, pacing. So we start off with. In fact, you know what? Let's jump back to the start so we can appreciate it in all its glory. We start off with being asked to go to Jupiter. We do it again. The stakes are upped a little bit. So we start off nice peaceful meadow. Have a little chat with everyone. And we get a very simple introduction to the puzzle. Then we get, again, so mechanically, very, what's the word? Very nice.
You've got the good ascending pacing.
Exactly. Narratively, mostly fine. I'm going to I go back to the slight issue with some of the agency. Like, it feels like, because the story progresses in a way that I don't always feel in control of. Also, this one puzzle in particular really stumped me, and it feels like it shouldn't have at this stage of the game. But maybe that's on me. But otherwise, let's, again, we're going to have to refer to their game notes, because unfortunately we're not going to make it all the way to the end, I think.
That's something I was going to say, that with the final choice, you got the offering made, you can ask Jupiter for riches with the log as a king, or food again at the end of level 3, but they haven't told us how that translates into endings.
Yeah. I know I keep saying, oh, it's only a simple prototype. And this is kind of one of the reasons why, because ideally we want to be able to see everything we can in 10 minutes, and I've been playing it for a bit longer than that. So I think we say there is clear ascendant pacing, because certainly from a mechanical side, the puzzles are getting trickier. From a narrative side as well, right? We start off just saying, hey, a king would be great, and we're halfway through, everything is on fire. So the stakes have definitely risen. So
have we got a clear final peak, though?
Unfortunately, we can't say for sure. So I'm inclined to say what we can do is put it partway between a satisfactory and a good. I'm almost inclined to say let's put it as a good for now, and the assumption that certainly puzzle-wise, the final puzzle will be more. No, let's mark it down as a satisfactory and a good. I might return to this later, and we'll have a dig through of the project files or something like that. But failing that, I think between a satisfactory and a good makes a lot of sense. They've definitely got some ascendant pacing, and it's now just a case of what am I trying to say? Yeah, they have some clear ascendant pacing. I would say the mechanical pacing is stronger than the narrative pacing in a lot of ways, but I think overall it works quite well.
I can tell a little bit the internal struggle that you're having there of we need to be faithful to the mark scheme, but also you seem to be quite enjoying the game's puzzles just from a fun perspective.
Yeah, it is. One of the nice things about doing this course is it means I always have a wealth of games to go back to and play. Right, storytelling techniques. How are they conveying the story? So the primary way is dialogue.
Yes, they've also got some environmental storytelling of the frog village getting updated with some background sprites depending on your choices.
Yeah, I was going to say that's, I think, the only other way that I can see. It's maybe a little bit of a stretch, but the fact that once we've got our arson ability, everything outside of the level is on fire. Yeah, things change and adapt as we progress through the story, and presumably that changes as well based on some of the choices we make, which works quite nicely. So if we look at So I would say they're easier to
So
satisfactory because they've got
yeah,
fully
because they've
successful use of one technique.
successful use of more than one game writing technique would bump them up to a good.
I don't know if it's, I would say just adding the fire sprites, for example, would make it fully successful use of two
Yeah, and the
techniques. But
like
I think,
tables of food
yeah,
in the village. But
there's
in
the,
between, perhaps?
yeah, in between for definite. I think they definitely, hint at changes, but it doesn't necessarily convey all of the story information that they could do. Or maybe, if they had some other techniques on top of that, like, again, simple cutscenes or something like that.
Okay.
Um,
And now, starting to have a look at the feedback and response.
yes, let's have a quick look at that. I like that
So,
they've made it nice and clear what their feedback was because they've bolded all of the little lines. Consider how much of a decision consequences are revealed to the player. So that is definitely something we mentioned. Somewhat vague but still informative. Certainly for
okay.
interesting. So again, this feels like something where they have considered what we said and they've made some changes based on it. They're right in so much as taking the coin away from the poor starving frog. Definitely evil. Whether that immediately translates to we're going to burn the world down, I don't know. Ensure that choices are not separate from gameplay. This one I think they've done really well. Again, I think there's maybe scope to have done that a little bit more, but the fact that it's not just a dialogue pops up that says, do you want to take the food or give the food? You actually have to move it through the game world and get to the end of the puzzle with it. That bit I think works really, really well. Consider how to convey a clear moral through like the mechanics. Consequences of greed. Yeah, so the original Fables all about knowing when to quit asking for a king. Similar kind of thing, I guess. I don't know if the mechanics necessarily bear that out. The story obviously does, but
Yeah.
but the mechanics I don't know if they do. But that's okay. The story does. Game world affecting story affecting game world. We've already talked about that. Same with the storytelling techniques. So the main story technique was the dialogue. They also added environmental storytelling. And again, I think the fact that cutscenes were added for the game's endings. Okay, so that can be something we go back and look at. But if that is the case, then let's bump them up to what was it? Good for storytelling techniques as well. I think the environmental storytelling by itself is a nice touch, but I don't think they have used it as much as they would have needed to count for something by itself. But if they've got cutscenes, and I'll do this after we finish looking, and I'll just dig through and make sure they are definitely there, but we'll assume they are for now. I think that works. So, okay, overall, a lot of feedback. Some of it successful, some of it maybe not as successful as they would have hoped, but they have definitely addressed it. And I think on the whole,
Probably be good for the amount of, or for rather how well they've addressed the feedback.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe between a satisfactory and a good, because some of them have been successful, some of them have been less successful, so it kind of averages out to there. Is that everything? And also,
I think so.
we added dialogue to improve the clarity of things like pushing offerings. Yeah, okay. Again, information design, maybe there's a few more things they could have done, but overall, I think between a satisfactory and a good. Some of those things they've been less successful at. Some of them they've been quite successful at.
All right.
Okay.
Any final thoughts on this game?
Love the puzzles. The puzzles are really good. I'm gonna have to come back and take another poke at it, I think.
Nice. All right.
All right, and our final game for this batch is the ManaTide. We were just having a discussion off camera about is it pronounced mana or mana? We've gone for mana. Nice little title screen. This one a little bit more lively. So we've got a whole bunch of characters. We've got a little scene, a little bit of scene setting, and we also have a tutorial. So again, remembering lessons that they learned in coursework 1. Oh, I recognise these sprites. E to interact, ESC to quit, WSD to move. Excellent. The world used to thrive on magic. It allowed cure for otherwise deadly disease, built stunning city walls, Okay, nice little bit of exposition. As the use of magic spread further, they formed a connected web. Within it, nature mutated into aggressive monsters. Steel rusts and breaks apart like dry wood.
Ooh.
Cities quickly shattered into distant settlements, quivering behind what is now called the ManaTide.
I like in games where they have, I guess in this case we just know steel, but I was going to say technology and magic as like opposing forces.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not marking them on, their actual writing ability. It's not that sort of module. But I like the little bit of world building they've got here. Like, that works quite nicely. So, turn-based combat. Not what I was expecting. So the tutorial is still telling us E to interact, WSD to move. I suspect we're just going to have to figure this bit out by ourselves. So Im's got 90 health, 50 mana, presumably. We aren't starting at full health. I wonder why. Imp uses Magic Sphere. That's damage does a bit.
Classic JRPG system.
What skills have I got? Vampiric Burst. Costs 10 MP. 1 turn cooldown. Recovers health over 2 rounds. That sounds pretty good.
Nice.
Does this little icon mean anything? We got a sidekick. Who knows? This imp might kick our butt. Oh, there we go. Skin of our
Battle
teeth.
1. Nice. And it seems that our stats don't persist, but they might do.
You belong to a mining village. Most of your income is through forging steel. That doesn't sound good if steel immediately crumbles into dust. Had to move to a remote place. The old customers are dead or gone. Village struggles to keep food on tables. More of a nomad than a blacksmith or miner. We are finding an alternative way to survive.
Okay. Interact with the boat. Ooh,
okay.
Nice.
Not what I was expecting to happen. Your day of fishing yields no rewards. It's been days since your last capture. I assume they mean of a fish. Okay. Were we supposed to go here, or were we supposed to go to the... I guess, was that the end of the tutorial and this is main game? Are any of yours here fit for smelting? Probably not. Carry some samples. Yep, I can carry some samples. So do we have...
Remind them to send these for inspection. Damn the ManaTide.
Okie doke. Front gate. Oh, that sure looks like a skeleton. Don't mind me. No, I'm just gonna scooch by. If that's okay, I think we have to fight. Let's start with our vampiric burst. How much damage did that do? A little bit. How much damage does this do? A little bit more. Let's use another vampiric burst. I don't know how. When do you think our mana recharges? Skeleton doesn't seem to have much mana, so we'll just.
Seems that both of our stats recharged between battles, so I'm not sure how much of a limit we have on those resources.
I'm wondering, was that just because we went from tutorial to main game? Also, you could have helped. What were you doing standing? You've got a club, a shield. This is Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Born on the 1st of Jeff, 19 Jeffity Jeff. Set them down outside.
The rest.
So, nice little bit of dialogue, again, some exposition. Might have been nice to break this up with, a dialogue tree, letting the player feel like they've got a bit more agency over asking for particular bits of information. The classic, RPG dialogue tree of "tell me more about the ManaTide." But that's okay. So he said leaves them outside the gate. I assume that's actually just happened automatically. We don't need to
Go and like expressly place them, yeah.
So let's keep exploring. Synchronized horses. The nomad of the village comes. This is the head guard. I think he'd have a fancier hat. Hop on one of the horses and he'll accompany us. Okay, can't talk to you. Can't please find other settlements.
Yeah.
Excellent. Is there anywhere else to explore in before we go off? So, I don't know if that's my computer or if it's the game. A little bit of a lag spike there.
I assumed that was with the call, but... Oh,
It could be because we're streaming at the same time. Ooh, so Pentagram is not where you want to find yourself standing. You found the caravans are headed towards a city within walls, the remains of a country called Divine Kingdom. Very dramatic music.
liberal use of the semicolon.
That's how I like my writing. Now it is under heavy lockdown. To avoid ManaTide, every passenger is magically transported by mages. So you and your companion. Lockdown created a severe stasis in its economy. That makes sense. With enough food, the city is in dire need of weaponry and tools. Okie doke. Oh, that's a nice effect.
Yeah.
I like that.
You get the fade. You get to see both the outside and the inside of the castle in a single loading zone.
So I know nothing about this guy except from his sprite, and I'm already assuming he is the evil, scheming vizier. Leader of some sort of mage guild. That's probably fine. Heard details about your offer from the head guard. When you return, we're glad to trade. So food for steal. Oh no, monsters!
Okay. One particularly
strong orc. I'm actually gonna just drop the sound slightly more. Okay. You wish to show your gratitude? Go and. That's what kind of hospitality is this? Headguard coming.
No time to waste.
We've got a party member now.
I wonder there if, because we got one option in that dialogue of just no time to waste, if there were some previous things we could have done that would have given us any more dialogue options, or that was just a single choice that we were given.
Did you say east? I thought you said east. That's probably fine. Ooh. Intrigue.
Ooh.
Okay, sort of, what's the word? Not lampshading, but signposting things that are going to happen. Ooh, take this fire greatsword.
Ooh.
I don't know why they think I'm more suited to wield this than, you know, the guards, but this is just protagonist syndrome. Oh, this sword was just going to be a decoration. Okay, headguard can use it, except weapon. Okay, but if we annoy headguard by helping out too much,
then he might not.
then he'll
He's
take
so
this good
pleased.
sword. Do you have to do that, you know, in RPGs where you've got a companion that you know is going to leave, you take all of their good equipment and gear before they can go?
Yeah, it's a classic strategy. Or if you're thinking they're gonna die.
Headguard. Okay, fire greatsword is a skill, not an attack. Good to know. 0 turn cooldown, huge damage, 20 MP. How much MP does headguard have? Or are we do we share health and mana?
Yeah, we might do.
Or is it just the display goes back and forth? Doesn't seem to have gone down though.
Have you tried to defend yet?
I haven't.
Just for completeness.
Tell my playstyle in RPGs is the best defense is a good offense.
Uh-huh.
So let's do this, and then I'll get the player to defend. Okay. Doesn't tell us what it does. Presumably it gives us a little... It produces the incoming damage somehow.
Yeah.
Just attack, then bop. There we go. A winner is us. What now? The mage from the castle. Proving yourself as a resourceful treasure. It's got a small request. King thought of an easy way to solve this. Okay. I mean, that would save resources. Would that save resources? Surely if you turn all of your farmers into lifeless puppets.
Yeah. You're kind of killing the golden goose a bit there.
Okay. Mages found the puppet magic dangerous and cruel. Good. Why do you think it's dangerous? So, doing puppet magic...
Okay. That's the only reason why it's immoral, because it will improve the strength of the tide. It has nothing to do with the puppetry itself.
The horrific implications of it. So we're smuggling the citizens out of the city. So it's treason then. And the major... Okay, you remember how I looked at this guy's sprite and I said, oh, clearly he's evil. Look at his glowing red eyes. I feel bad now. I've misjudged him. Cannot leave soil for the tide to grow even further. How about we use my village as an interchange? That will be much safer. Okay, so the head guard... Okay, so he's not left. He's just going to be less useful in battle.
Less performant.
So story affecting gameplay. Put a pin in that. Where's our horses? There are the horses. Narrative. You feel the knight's eyes staring through the helmet. It's impossible for him to overhear your conversation, but he is suspecting something.
Ooh.
He must be the traveller. Tell him the king's scheme to turn citizens to puppets and your plans to save them. After accepting legal counsel, I have decided that I do not have to talk to you. Could we have... Let's have a quick sneak preview at their game notes. Oh, that's a big story plan.
Oh my.
So, choice 1, help to carry all... Oh wow, it affects our stats. Interesting. We get +1 sanity for refusing to help.
Okay.
Blah. Head guard enters the team. Choose to talk to a citizen. Aid the kingdom. Okay, so we don't have a choice as to whether we defend the armory or not. That just kind of happens. They obviously, because it's such a big what's it called, story map, they've printed it landscape, which means I'm sitting here with my head at 90 degrees.
I've done right click rotate right 3 times.
Yeah, I should do that. That would be more sensible. There we go.
See, with the combat so far, it seems like you've not been in any particular danger of death, but with the number of different stat improvements or stat detriments that you get on your choices in the game, it seems like maybe the combat might stand to get more difficult.
I mean, what do you think sanity does as a stat?
That's a good question.
Does sanity give you... Is sanity key to mana? We've got morale, we've got strength, we've got sanity. What are... In fact, I can't see. No, they seem to be the three main stats that I can see. Well, let's smack this skeleton around a little bit, and then we'll weak charge, reluctantly charge. Okay, so interesting. So we made a story choice. That's affected gameplay. It's nicely highlighted by his charge is now a weak charge. It's fire greatsword. Still a fire greatsword though.
I believe with the 3 different stats, when we get to the ending, the stat that we have the most of gives us the option there. That's what decides the ending.
Interesting. Interesting. Because would you have gathered, or would you have guessed even, that offering to carry some ore for a person would decrease your sanity, for example?
Maybe not that particular interaction. There's a few of them that make good sense here. A couple that might be a bit more questionable.
Oh, actually, is that morale, or is that moral? Like, doing a good thing gives you +2 to moral.
Yeah, I presumed it was moral. I know we've got a couple of English language blips here and there, but looking past those, because I know you've got.
I'm more just thinking. I was about to say, what's the difference between like a sanity and morale? But maybe it is like light side, dark side points almost.
I think so. That's at least how I've been interpreting it so far.
So we are now currently in the monster farm, because we've got a series of fences with a monster perfectly guarding each one.
So do you want to start going through the mark scheme a little bit while you continue playing?
Yeah, I think we've probably seen enough that we can certainly start going through the first bit. So, terms of quality,
graphics, audio, and information design. It's got a couple of different sprite packs that it's used. I'm unsure how much of the level design, the world building itself, comes from one of those packs, or whether it was more manually introduced. But I think it looks pretty serviceable, pretty good, considering the setting of the world. It fits nicely in with the narrative of what's going on. I can't speak so much for the audio, so if you want to jump in for that one, Tom.
Yeah, so again, much like the other ones, we've got some nice background music. It's pretty fitting. It seems to change up a little bit based on the scene, although again, there's not much in the way of sound effects. So again, it'd be nice if we use the fire sword, we get a whoosh or something to really hammer home that we're dealing 30 odd points of damage or whatever it was. But yeah, otherwise I agree. You're right, they've definitely taken from some different asset packs, but they have tried to keep those consistent. So they're still all a pixely kind of style.
Yeah, we got a little bit of mixels going on, but it's not egregious.
I mean, that's fine. If they suddenly introduce a 3-dimensional hypercube or something, then I'll start getting grouchy. But mixing some different pixel art, that's fine. Information design. So we've got. I like the way they highlighting certain bits of the text every now and then. So fire greatsword, and the fact that head guard is. It maybe be nice if we had his little head as a sprite or something next to it again for a bit of flourish. But I think the information design is pretty good. There's a few bits that it's not really information design, but maybe it's not fully tutorialized of knowing when our mana refills. Same with our health, but our actual health and mana and all of those things very clear on the screen. It's very clear what all of the attacks and skills do. What isn't mega clear is what changes our different stats, our morals, our strength, and our sanity, and B, wasn't even clear to me until I looked at this document that we had those stats.
Yeah, they are hidden from us. You've also got a couple of things in the dialogue UI and the combat, which could use a little bit of visual polish, perhaps, but it doesn't detract too much. I think it's still very serviceable. Meaningful play, mechanics, controls, and bugs. I don't think we've seen any bugs to speak of. Mechanically, we've got the sort of JRPG framework of selecting between attacks and skills and defends, and the escape option as well, which so far we haven't seemingly had much of a reason to use, but we might run into a combat that is stronger than we can fight.
Wait, so it's worth saying that all of the combats we've faced so far have been you have to fight this thing to proceed because it's blocking your way. So if we did escape, I'm not sure what effect that would have.
Oh, invisible wall?
Invisible wall. I may be in an area I'm not meant to be. We'll find out.
Perhaps.
It does feel a little bit jittery as well. But yeah, overall, like as you say, standard JRPG controls, nothing incredibly innovative. Like it's all pretty standard: attack, skill, defend. But it is all stuff that like works pretty solidly well together.
So, are we thinking? Well, let's go for the graphics, audio, and information first.
Oh, right, yeah, we gotta.
Well, I forgot we didn't give that an actual band. So, satisfactory would be workable, effective, but some inconsistencies.
Again, it feels maybe partway between a satisfactory and a good. Like they've got some music, they've got some a good consistent set of graphics. It would be nice if they'd done a bit more with the audio. Just to add a little bit of flair, and mostly the audio design, the information design is good. But if these stats are crucial to our ending of the game, it would be nice. It would be nice to know that they exist. I guess in a way, I don't know. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Information design, I think, is the most lacking of the three for me.
Oh my lord, this feels like it could be a rough fight. Death swing, burst, strong charge. Ooh. Okay, we can do this every turn, and it's free. So do this to recover some health, and then
there also seems to be a third line of text under there that we can't read. Oh, just attack. I see.
Just keep doing that, I think. So
Nice.
did we get that ability? Now I'm going to flick back to the game notes over here because okay, it doesn't mention in their story plan. So again, that I was wondering, did we get the head guard's ability because we gave him the sword? And if we hadn't given him the sword, we wouldn't. In their story notes, it just says, well, if you just wish him luck, you get -1 morals, +2 strength, +1 sanity. If you give him the fire sword, you get +2 morals, -2 strength, and -1 sanity. And going back to what you were saying earlier about the information design, I don't know whether strength actually impacts gameplay or if it's effectively just, a flag for the end. Because it's not really obvious that that's, again, simpler game, smaller prototype. I don't mind if the combat's a little bit easy to get through because we do want to get through to the end. But sometimes it does make it a little bit difficult to know, has there been a big impact on, like, are these stats having an impact? And if so, the fact that we gave, I guess, the fact that we gave away our sword, sure, -2 strength, that kind of makes sense. It would maybe make more sense that it just disables the fire sword attack rather than changing all of our attacks. So if you're making some of those things, it would make sense for that to be signposted a little bit clearer to the player.
So are we decided on a satisfactory or an in-between satisfactory and good?
I still think in between. I think there's enough other information design that's working well that it's in between. I think there's a few things maybe holding it back from the fully good.
In terms of mechanics, controls, and bugs, then?
So we already started talking about this. It's nothing particularly new or innovative. It's a solid formula, and they've implemented it pretty well. All the controls work as you would expect. There's not a lot well, I haven't seen I haven't seen anything in the way of bugs apart from a few, Zed fighting textures and maybe a few jitters here and there. But that might just be because I'm streaming the video over to Luca.
Yeah. So, for some context, a pass would be challenging, simple game with few mechanics, awkward controls, may have serious bugs. Satisfactory would be playable, simpler game with few mechanics, usable controls, may have some minor bugs. And good would be engaging, reasonably complex game with multiple mechanics, smooth controls, may still have very minor bugs.
Sorry, which category would that put them in?
That would be good.
Yeah, I think that feels about right. I would say it maybe only just hits the complex game with multiple mechanics, but the fact that they've got a number of different skills and the fact that you briefly have more than one party member, hits that. I think for excellent, you'd probably need a slightly greater rotation of skills and abilities, maybe slightly more variety in the enemies as well. But again, small prototype, it feels complex enough to put together.
It goes beyond playable into engaging.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, do you reckon we've seen enough of the game at this point to start thinking about the story engine?
I think so. We've seen an entire playthrough, which is more than we have for some games. And I will try and go through. So, here's my quick prediction. Story engine, not bad. Agency, we might have some words. So, story engine, game world to story. How is the game affecting the story? Actually, this bit I'm not terribly sure about either. I don't think there's much in the way of the choices that we make in the gameplay sections, which is to say the fights.
The fights.
Actually affecting the outcome of the story, other than presumably, well, if we die, then we lose.
Yeah, because the proverbial overworld, the parts of the game where we're not in combat, that is not that dissimilar in concept to just picking options in a dialogue box where we're just kind of walking around the world. Whereas when we're in the combat doing the gameplay, I don't know if that has any particular influence on the story at all.
Yeah, and in fact, in their game notes, I think they've conflated the two a little bit. So they say, by making critical choices, the player will gain a tendency level, which will pull them towards an ending. The consequences of some choices are unclear. Yes, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But if the player explores the map, they'll be able to find NPCs providing implicit information on future choices. I noticed that happening once, but again, that's not gameplay impacting the narrative.
No, not so much. So, the mark scheme on this, you could go with some support for story elements in the game, but the game world has no real impact on the story. Or a few sparse or minor examples of where the game world impacts the story. Or some examples of where the game world impacts the story.
From what they've said in their notes and from what we've seen, I think we might have to put it as an absent. There's nothing certainly nothing in the combat that changes the way the story pans out. All the story branches are based on talking to NPCs, and that's sort of happening through dialogue. And yes, you can make the argument that, well, that's part of the game as well, but for this course we kind of make that distinction because we want to see it happening both ways. So both with the use of the core mechanic and the core dynamic, as well as with the sort of dialogue and things that get layered over the top. So that actually, I think
so that would be a story premise, but no serious attempt to integrating the game with the story.
Yeah, which is looking back at it, we do have, in fact, the fact that we sort of I know lots of RPGs do this, but we kind of teleport to the combat zone and then teleport back effectively. So what would be an example of how they could improve this? So, for example, at its most simple, if we always attack and never defend, then some of the villagers say, "Oh my gosh, you're a fearsome warrior. or if we always defend and never attack, then they say something along the lines of, gosh, you must have a big shield, or so like a tiny change like that. But that's a very simple example of the type of thing that we'd be looking for in that instance. So something where the choices that we make in this bit of gameplay affect the story. And obviously you could make that more complex and have it actually change the outcome, do something a little bit like Undertale, for example, where you can, if you kill all your enemies, you get one ending. If you show them all mercy, you get another ending, and so on.
Another way you could take it is have either the health or the mana or both of the resources not reset at the beginning of the fight, and have certain story elements locked behind like a skill check of can you get past this combat without losing X amount of health.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to story to game world. This one definitely does have an impact because some choices we make in dialogue affect the skills and abilities that we have in the combat. That's the clear and obvious way to do it, and they do that. It only happens in a couple of places, I think, and it doesn't have a huge impact on the gameplay, again, because it's a prototype and it is quite small in scale as far as those changes go. So if we help out, the guard doesn't approve and his attack becomes less impactful. Again, it doesn't happen a lot, and B, partly because of the way the combat is balanced, doesn't really matter. I never used that skill anyway, and it's very easy to get by without that. But it does stand up as an example of choices we make within the story and the way we talk to the NPCs affecting the gameplay in some way. So,
would you describe this as some support for story elements in the game, but the story has no real impact on the game world, or a few sparse or minor?
I would maybe put it between the two there, I think.
Fair.
Just for the sake of example, what happens if I do just constantly defend?
Battle lost.
Just resets to the start of the fight. If I escape, still reset to the start of the fight. So escape.
Yeah.
If I defend a bunch and then escape, then just reset my health. Okay, yeah. So escape,
a little
basically
bit more
just
restart the
fight. Which is interesting because I could just, if there's no punishment for dying, then there's no need for the escape to be there. I can always keep trying. So yeah,
richness of choices. You do get a number of interesting choices in so much as it's not just a single point. It evolves over the course of the game when you get to do things. But I'm not sure how much impact that has. Like how much of a difference the player sees based off of their choices.
Yeah, it's interesting. The fact that they your ending is determined based on what feels like pretty arbitrary stats, and those stats are affected pretty arbitrarily by the choices you make. That bit doesn't feel good. What I will say is the smaller choices, like, help the mage, help the civilians, stop them being turned into horrible puppets, but your guard's going to be grumpy that you're not putting your village first. That's, quite an interesting choice. I would maybe say there's still probably a right answer there, given the consequences, but that one's an interesting choice, right? Do you go out of your way to help people who are, not your people, or do you act selfishly and say, well, good luck, you're on your own. I don't want to start a diplomatic incident, and I don't want to have to fight a bunch of monsters for no reason. That's an interesting choice. There aren't many others, though. And if we look at the mark scheme, a poor is actually, there are a few player choices and the player agency is problematic. And I kind of worry, I don't know if they're quite down at the poor, but they might be between a poor and a pass because of that slight arbitrariness of the different endings. I should be playing as I'm talking, if we want to see another ending. But the fact that it's not clear how those choices link to your stats or why you get the different endings. So I'll quickly refer back to their notes actually for a second and say we've got three endings. We've got the eel ending, which we already saw because we had high morals. There's the strength ending where if we've got high strength, we take over the kingdom and kill the king, but then start to abuse magic and
Yeah,
want
the Heron
control
ending.
of the mage guild, and then we get betrayed. And then there's the log ending, which is if we've got high sanity, we acknowledge that balancing factions is hard, so we just run away. I wouldn't say there's actually a good ending there, in so much as, you know, like there's the good ending and the bad ending. As endings
Yeah,
go,
there's no like
they're all fine.
neat conclusion where everyone claps.
Which is
But
kind of nice. It makes a change from there being sort of a binary moral choice. So they're all a bit nuanced, but there's no way to know how to make one specific one happen. And this, I feel like, is the perfect example of something that could fit it into that gameplay to story thing. So if you want
yeah,
it to all be about, you know, strength versus morals versus, I don't know how you work sanity into it, but for example, you know, if you kill all of your enemies, you get the strength ending, and it's all about seizing power and then being betrayed. Or if you show mercy to all of your enemies, then you get the moral appeals ending, which is where you try and forge a good relationship with people, and so on. So that feels like it could have been worked into the choices system a little bit more. As it is, let's have a look at some of their other choices. We've also got the choice of do we confide in the guard, right? Where mage tells us our I guess mage tells us the plan. We can agree to help or not, and then there's that knight that's standing next to us and says, "Is everything okay, citizen?" And again, in their story notes, where are we? We can either explain the scheme, or we can stay silent. We chose to stay
this is
silent.
choice 3, yeah.
Yeah, but the actual outcome of that is just moral +2, strength -1, sanity +2, and it's like, I don't know how that maps onto that choice, unfortunately.
Yeah. It also feels like in design they've tried to make it such that each of the choices has like a plus or minus 1 or 2 associated, where just kind of based off of the my assumptions of how it would go, maybe some of these choices would only change 1 or 2 of the stats. Maybe that would kind of help keep things a little bit more readable as well as to which stat you're changing.
There's also, while I am slightly nitpicking, a bit of a problem with agency in that I think this is partly just because they got a nice big map from an asset pack. You can kind of just wander around somewhat aimlessly. There's not a lot guiding. I guess there's in a way, they have tried to control agency through the use of invisible walls, but in a way that kind of highlights your lack of agency a bit. Like, in a lot of places you can kind of just wander around and get lost, and in some places there's just an invisible wall. So there's maybe a few ways to like more naturally shape the level that they've got. Like putting a wall on this big pile of rocks would feel a lot more natural
Than in
just
a couple of other places.
But again, that's more of a nitpick. So I would say for this, where are we?
Between
A poor and a
the
pass.
poor and a pass.
They've got some. Actually, you know what? I would say a pass.
Yeah.
They've got some choices. Like, we've got a number of different choices. I think I can count 4 off the top of my head.
Yep.
Maybe 3. Oh no, yeah, four relatively small choices that do impact the story, but because of that stats, it's not sufficient to make them interesting, I think. Or actually, let me rephrase that. Some of the choices are interesting, but because there's few choices and most of the choices, the big impact that they have, which is to say on the story's ending, aren't clear and are somewhat detached from the choice that you are making, that kind of brings it back down to a pass. So I think on balance, yeah, that feels about right.
In terms of pacing, I think there's definitely some amount of ascent in the tension.
Yes.
Whether that's a clear ascension, it's, I don't know.
I
You've
would,
got the enemies that get progressively harder to defeat, and you get progressively more skills in order to deal with them. So you see a nice bit of mechanical development there. In terms of how much the story itself, are they raising the stakes with it that much?
yeah. I mean, certainly we go from, "Ooh, can you go and ask for a trade deal," to "the king is plotting to turn everyone into lifeless puppets." That's
That is
kind of a
true.
raising of the stakes. It feels like there's not necessarily a clear overarching narrative that we're going for. Oh yeah,
We were talking
clear
about
and
the
ascendant
pacing.
pacing. So I feel like you're right, they do have ascendant pacing both in terms of the narrative and the mechanics. Maybe could be stronger in each of those. So
Yeah.
as far as the narrative goes, a more clear, well, what's the word? Not slow burn, but a sort of more incremental raising of the stakes. And mechanically, you're right that we go from fighting weak enemy to strong enemy to three enemies back to back. But again, because the combat's because we can just mash attack and get through all of the combat, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel as dramatic as maybe as it could be. As
They've
far as the
definitely
clear,
considered the pacing. It's kind of execution more so than planning.
yeah, and as far as the final peak goes, there is definitely a conclusion, but um, because of the way that that conclusion is somewhat disjoint from the player's choices, like we've already talked about, it doesn't feel climactic. It just feels like, and then something else happens that we didn't really have any control or input of, and then it ends, which is
Yeah.
which is a bit of a shame. So I
I
think we hit satisfactory.
I was gonna say I'd be tempted to just give this a flat satisfactory.
I would characterize it as a solid satisfactory.
Good.
Um, okay, and storytelling techniques. Now, this we've got dialogue, obviously. Most of the story is conveyed through dialogue. We don't really have any cutscenes. And as far as environmental storytelling goes, I mean, we just have the environments we're walking through, but they don't really. I mean, they change a bit actually. Our village, gets some extra NPCs that look like the mage.
Yeah.
But really there's not a lot else. It is primarily the main uh, dialogue is the
Like
main way of conveying
channel.
the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, that feels like uh, yeah, there's not really much in the way of environmental storytelling for this one. So I think maybe I would say fully successful use of one game writing technique feels pretty bang on for this one. I did
Alrighty.
like the fact that they had a tutorial and the fact that they put some of the exposition in that, which works on two fronts. If you know the mechanics, you don't need the tutorial, and if you have already heard the introduction and the exposition once, you
You
don't
can
need to do it
skip
again.
that.
That's actually
Yeah.
kind of a nice touch. So yeah, that's worth pointing out as well. And last but by no means least, feedback.
The feedback.
Feedback. What have they said?
Okay. Although we have related gameplay systems to story choices, such as unlocking new skills from companions, different enemies due to choices. Oh,
The reverse, gameplay
interesting.
story is
Yeah.
lacking content. Only related design is that to achieve different endings, players will need to be aware of critical choices. Okay. To
To
increase
increase
the gameplay.
gameplay's effect on the story, we added several optional dialogue NPCs. If player explores and chooses to interact with them, they may offer information revealing consequences of upcoming critical choices, so that the player can be more certain about what they're choosing to do.
So that's interesting, because I feel A, they haven't articulated it particularly well, and B, they seem to have actually mixed up some of the key points of the criteria there. The gameplay to story we've already talked about is still somewhat lacking content. There's nothing that we do in the gameplay that affects the story, unfortunately. But they raise an interesting point that not lampshading, foreshadowing that choice that you're going to have with the guard and some of the consequences of that is actually one of the things that does make it a more interesting choice. Otherwise, it would just be, of course we'll help you. But now we know, oh, if we do that, the guard might leave or might back out. So that, I think, was a successful choice. But because of the way they've formulated that feedback and I think misunderstood some of the key things there, it feels like, I mean, it's had limited success as a result. In fact, if we look at a poor, the criteria there is the feedback was not addressed well, although some other positive changes have been made, and that is pretty much exactly what's happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
So they
But
made an
overall,
attempt, but yeah.
that's quite all right. That's a pretty serviceable game.
Yeah, I think it makes a good foundation, and it's definitely something that could build on. It hasn't necessarily hit all of the criteria that we set out for the coursework, but as far as games go, it is a solid game, and I would like to see them, continue to develop it further.
Excellent. So I think that's us done for today.
Yep, that's everything for this video, so we will see you next time for some more games.